this morning that everyone's been talking about, specifically on the political side, is that House bill didn't have a vocal rule of getting rid of proprietary trading. Senate bill did. And yesterday, according to Politico, they went in with language that was much stronger than anything in the Senate bill and completely new, not in either bill, on proprietary trading. Did that happen? Is that normal for a conference? Will that continue to happen?
Well, it was done behind closed doors, and it was done really without our knowledge. Republicans have not participated in these meetings, and we got a 2,000-page bill. We were expecting a 1,600-page bill, and we really, Aaron, I think we're like the American people. We don't know what this bill is going to end up having in it or out of it. But we do know that the government's going to make decisions that individuals have traditionally made.
Congressman Meeks, I'm curious, what really did happen, and is this the way it's going to go, that the two bills that we're currently looking at may have nothing in common with the actual final bill?
Well, you know what? I think that we got to work at this thing. I thought, on the House side, when we came up with the House bill, we had over 50 Republican amendments in it, so that was truly a bipartisan bill. We know that we're starting with the Senate bill as a base, and I think that the dialogue and conversation that we're going to have is going to make sure that we have a bill that will be law, that will be best for the American people. There's no perfect bill. And, you know, the only thing that disappoints me at times, no matter what we do, I hear some of my Republican colleagues say they won't vote for the bill. Well, there's no perfect bill. When we were in the minority, there was bills that we didn't have any input into, but yet and still you saw some Democrats vote for it because they thought it was the right thing to do. I hope we do the right thing for the country. The right thing for the country is to do financial regulation reform that's going to benefit the American people.
Congressman Hensarling, would you vote for a bill which included a souped-up, strengthened vocal rule outlining proprietary trading and the Blanche-Lincoln language, or even stronger, which would force some of the banks like Goldman Sachs to get rid of their derivatives units, which I understand from people close to the company would be, more than 10, 15% of their business?
Well, first, like Spencer Bach, I actually reserved the right to read the bill. And as Spencer said, we received this 2,000-page bill, I think, literally 2 hours before the conference. We don't know what's in it. What we suspect is in it, though, is, again, a continuing bailout authority designating companies too big to fail, ensuring that we have a TARP on steroids. We also believe it's going to harm jobs through the derivatives title, making it more expensive, less desirable to use derivatives to hedge risk, create a huge new government bureaucracy to ban and ration credit products, which we know will harm jobs at a time when unemployment is still hovering around double digits. So at the end of the day, we know that there is the conference and a conference. Now, Republicans may be invited to a conference that's on television cameras, but we're not invited to the conference that takes place behind closed doors.
Here at this conference, what I'm hearing, and let me bring you in here, Congressman Gutierrez, what I'm hearing is the same stuff, and I don't mean that negatively to any of you. I just mean these are the same arguments and conversations we've been having for 8 months on this, and that is sort of concerning, I think, to viewers, that these are the same darn talking points. Congressman Gutierrez, should people be concerned watching that this means we're not going to get a good bill?
Look, we're going to have a bill. The bill will be reported out hopefully by the end of the month. We shouldn't expect too much help from my Republican colleagues. I think they're going to vote against any bill, as my colleague from New York has stated. Over 50 of their amendments were adopted in the House bill, many amendments in the Senate proposal. But, of course, they're going to be negative about the bill. So what I want to do is kind of set aside politics, because I voted for the $700 billion rescue plan. I'm not a great proponent, protector, defender of the titans of Wall Street. But when I saw our market, our economy put at risk, I stepped forward to do what I thought was correct. And at this point, I know that tonight on CNBC, I'm going to watch the fall of Lehman Brothers. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that there isn't that kind of systematic risk ever incurred again.
Congressman Bach, what about this, though, coming from both Mr. Meeks as well as Mr. Gutierrez, this point, which a lot of the American people have bought into now, too, which is the Republicans are the party of no. And you guys are going to come in here and stonewall anything, whether it's good or whether it's bad. That hurts the Republican Party's credibility. Is it fair? Would you vote for this bill?
No, we actually propose we want to do something about a Lehman situation, too, and we have enhanced bankruptcy. What they do is they set up a potentially $8 or $9 or $10 trillion bailout fund. So What they want to do...
because the government could guarantee assets of banks, hence you're saying indirectly putting taxpayers on the hook.
90% of the consolidated assets of the largest corporations in America, they want the government to be able to borrow that kind of money and buy the assets of those corporations.
So here's what I want to do. I want to go around the table here. I know there are details that all of you are going to disagree about, and strenuously so. But what people on Wall Street and I guess people around the country want to hear, and around the world watching this interview, is there any chance of getting agreement on a few of these key issues? So if we could go around, try to keep your answers, if you could, everyone, to a yes or a no. I know there's details, and you'll say yes, but I want to hear the yes or a no. And first, on this Volcker rule, is there any situation, Congressman Baucus, we'll start with you and go around, under which you would vote for some sort of a Volcker rule which would outlaw proprietary trading?
If a large company goes to the discount window, the federal discount window, borrows from the government like they do at 0.5%, and then speculates with that money, yes, they shouldn't be allowed to do that.
So the answer is yes in certain situations. What about you, Congressman Meeks?
Yes, I could, and I have concerns in the other way. I would like to make sure that there's exception, for example, made for some private equity firms, so that, but they're skin in the game by those financial institutions also, so that they know that they are not hedging against them. But so the answer is absolutely yes.
Congressman Hensarling.
Well, the rules for insured depository institutions need to be different from rules for non-depository institutions. What you do with your money is your business. What you do with ultimately taxpayer money. So
depository institutions, yes.
Yes. With depository institutions.
All right, Congressman Gutierrez, yes or no?
You know something? Let me give absolutely clearly yes. We should stop them from using the public's money, and let's not try to hedge our answers on this thing. Absolutely, we should apply the Volcker rule.
Well, it seems like at the least, my takeaway from this is you're going to argue about the details, but depository institutions are going to end up having this go through in some form. I mean, just from the four of you. Okay, the next thing is the Blanche Lincoln derivatives language. This, for some banks is just pesky to have to get rid of it. A lot of them don't know how to even split out their derivatives units. But again, as I said, Goldman Sachs, et cetera, could be 10, 15%, could be significant. Would you vote for it, yes or no?
No, the government should not make a decision over whether a company can protect against inherent risk of doing business.
All right, and quickly, yes or no's around the board, because we do have to wrap. Mr. Meeks.
I think there needs to be some tweaking to it, but yes, I can vote for it. But I think there's got to be some tweaking to the bill.
Okay. Congressman Gutierrez?
I like Blanche's proposal. I think it does need to be modified somewhat. But look, if we can't get back to Glass-Steagall, let's make sure we put some barriers.
Congressman Hensarling, we'd all like to be back to Glass-Steagall, if only it meant an only 16-page piece of legislation. Finally, yes or no from you on Blanche Lincoln?
No, we don't want to cost jobs. And, Aaron, you need to talk about what's not in the bill, and that's dealing with the government-sponsored enterprises, the mother of all bailouts. That's what's not in the bill.
Completely right about that. It is, unfortunately, outside the scope of this conversation, although I think many would say you're right, it should not be outside the scope of the legislation. Thanks so much to all four of you. We really appreciate it. Scott, back to you.
All right, Aaron. Other big story today, of course, forget the World Cup. This